Amrit Swarupananda, and I have been with Amma for the last 24 years, since 1979. She held me close to her and whispered into my ear, "You are my child, I'm your mother." And she hugged me, and with that, I was transported to another world. I had no idea, absolutely no idea about meditation or stillness of mind. But effortlessly, spontaneously, just by her presence, just by her touch, I was in a deep state of beyondness or beyond body and mind. That first meeting with Amma completely changed my life. To be very specific, it took an 180-degree turn in my life. And when I got back home, I realized that I was a completely changed person. And since then, I left my hearth and home and decided to be with Amma, to serve her cause. And there was a burning inspiration and intense longing to realize God, but even God was not really known to me. Actually, if Amma had not happened in my life, if Amma did not come to my life, I would have never understood the meaning of God. So that was my first encounter with Amma.
It was in 1982 that I first heard about Amma. I learned about her from one of her students who was studying in the north of India. And this person said to me, "I feel like you're one of Amma's children. And if you go and see her, I think that you'll want to stay there." And this is exactly what happened. When I went down to see Amma by train, I arrived and I walked into the small Darshan hut where she was sitting. And she got up and she came over and she embraced me. And this was such a shock to my system because I'd never seen anyone give so much love like this before to a complete stranger that they didn't know. So I was with Amma for about 3 weeks before I finally realized that she was a completely perfect spiritual master. Because in those days, often she was a bit like a crazy woman. She would lie down on the ground, crying and laughing, just being in bliss, loving God. And this was always strange to me because the other spiritual masters I had seen, they would never allow anyone to touch them. And here was Amma just embracing everyone with love that was just totally overflowing from her.
I was born and brought up in Bombay, one of the metropolitan cities in India. And I was basically a science student and interested in doing a career on research. And at the same time, I used to play a lot of sports. So I also wanted to do well in that, and earn a big name and a reputation. And these were my priorities before meeting Amma. And really speaking, I did not have any much of a spiritual quest before coming to Amma. And my first meeting with Amma was in Bombay when she was there for her first visit to the city. That was in the year 1987. And my parents had Amma's Darshan and they were really overwhelmed by her. So they came back and said that there's a great woman who has come from Kerala, so you should also come with us to see her. But I was very reluctant, so I told them that that's not my cup of tea, and just leave me alone. And I don't want to come in for such spiritual programs or anything. I just want to be focused on my career and things like that.
I was working in a bank, and the reason I went to see Amma was I was trying for a transfer to my hometown, which is about 300 kilometers from Amma's ashram. So one of the customers came to me and asked me whether I would like to meet a divine person. I thought it's a good idea because I wanted someone's blessings so that I can go back to my hometown. I thought it was a wonderful opportunity for me to get the blessings of this divine person, Amma, so that I can go back home. So that's the reason I went to see Amma, to get a transfer. But after I met Amma, I was transferred to Amma's ashram instead of my home. And so that was about 25 years back. So I'm with Amma for the last 25 years. I met Amma in 1978. First time I went to see Amma, I went for the Darshan. But for some reason I kept crying. There was no reason for me to cry. Everything was going well for me. I was having a wonderful job. I was having wonderful friends. Everything was perfectly all right. But still, when I went to see Amma, because of her spiritual energy or vibration, I kept crying and crying and crying, and I could not ask Amma. I wanted to ask Amma about my transfer, but I could not ask Amma. I totally forgot it. Or I didn't really want to ask Amma because there was so much peace in my heart. Then second time I went to her, she gave me darshan. And then she asked me to sit by her side, then meditate. But I have never meditated. I did not know how to meditate. I told Amma, I don't know how to meditate. I have not meditated. She said, no problem, you sit there and close your eyes. I sat there and closed my eyes. I knew some mantras from my young age because I am from a Brahmin family, so I knew some mantras. So I sat by the side of Amma, closed my eyes, and started chanting the mantras. And then after some time I thought I will get up and go because there were many people in the line, so they may also want to sit by the side of Amma. So thinking this, I opened my eyes. I thought maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes have passed. But I looked at my watch, 3 hours had passed. I did not know 3 hours how it passed. So it was very deep, profound experience. Then next day I went to bank, but I could not concentrate on the work. I was like floating. So I came back home. I did not work for 3-4 days, and it took almost 10 days for me to get grounded. So it was a profound experience, and then that's what made me to go back to Amma again. That experience, I thought, if I can get this experience with Amma, I don't need anything else in the world. People make money, people get married, people have all this family. I need to have this, peace. So I got it without paying any money so easily. So I decided I should follow Amma.
The first meeting is something that gets etched in your memory so deep that it becomes something. It becomes something that when you think or when you recollect, it really makes your heart flow with love and gratitude towards Amma. And with me also, it was very much same. The first meeting was something, it was an out-of-the-world experience for me. And in fact, that is what changed my whole life.
My very first meeting with Amma helped me to realize, to have a tangible experience of true love and compassion. And in her presence, for the first time in my life, I found myself and the peace within me, the silence within me.
After meeting Amma, I had always had the desire to have children and family and travel. But after hearing the spiritual truths and meeting Amma, I felt that I could not go back in the world and pretend that life was real. So I wanted to stay with Amma to discipline me as my spiritual teacher. So having that desire to serve the world became something that took over from the other desires of something for yourself, wanting a family and your own needs. Instead, Amma planted a seed of service inside of us that made us want to give our lives to serve the world.
Amma is unique because she makes herself available for everyone, for whoever comes to her. And she doesn't care about her body, about her own comforts. And, her teaching is very simple. Very simple. Love is very simple. Compassion is very simple. Selflessness is very simple. But the mind makes everything complicated. So to understand Amma, To be in touch with Amma, to get connected with Amma is very simple. Just be open and you are with Amma. So that's her teaching. Be open. Be now. Be in the present moment.
Amma tells us, if you really love Amma, then you will learn to love every being in the world. You have to love even an ant, small ant. If you can love every being like that, then I will consider that you are loving me. So what Amma asks us is to help and serve the poor people and the needy.
One thing that I greatly felt attracted in Amma's teaching was Amma talks the highest truth in the simplest way. And what Amma really emphasizes is that it's not mere that we talk about the supreme consciousness, the non-dual philosophy, or about the unitary truth, but we also put those ideals into practice. And that's what Amma is doing. She, lives all those truths practically every moment of her life. And when we understand the basic reality about the truth, about consciousness, or whatever we call, then that person sees no difference in between people, or he does not have any discrimination between caste, religion, or language, nationality. There is no difference at all. All the barriers cease to exist. Then one can only love, one can only be compassionate, one can only be patient, one will be ready to sacrifice any extent for the sake of for the good of humanity. And this is the state which each one has to attain through all the spiritual practices lead man to this state. But the thing is, Amma says that many people, they read quite a lot, they understand it intellectually, but they fail to put it into practice. They don't put it into practice. But with Mother, the greatest teaching, I feel so attracted towards the teaching that Amma says it's not enough if we just read about spirituality, we read about religious ideals. We need to put them into practice, and that is what Amma emphasizes so much in her teaching.
Traditionally in India, women don't usually go for spiritual life. They stay at home and they have families and children and just do the housework. But Amma has tried to bring about a change in society by recognizing the equality of women along with the men, and therefore allowing them to come and live here and lead a spiritual life, and also allowing them to do the traditional worship in the temples. A lot of people were against this at the beginning because they felt this is only for men to do. But as Amma had said, the God that we worship does not see any difference between men and women. They see all as being equal. So in this way, she's tried to change the traditions and give women the equal positions in society as the men have. And in that way, they do perform traditional worships in a lot of the temples.
It was in the year 1986 that I first came to Amma's ashram. When I joined the Amma's ashram, I happened to meet this leper Dattan. Amma used to give Bhava Darshan on Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, 3 times a week. And at the end of the darshan, this leper used to come inside the temple. And when he comes inside the temple, Amma usually gets up from her seat. She goes up to the door. She brings him to the place where she is sitting, and then she starts treating him. So what I saw was, she used to examine his wounds all over the body, right from the tip of the fingers to the tip of his toes, and wherever there was pus, she used to lick the pus and make it clean. And then she used to apply the sacred ash. And this place used to be the most affected part, the forehead. And Amma used to keep her mouth there, and she used to suck out the pus and spit it. And then again she would apply the sacred ash there also. This I have seen many times. When I saw him first, he was abominably stinking. We couldn't go anywhere near him People used to cover their nose with their towel. He was so stinking. But as time passed by, when Amma used to heal him every time he came to the temple, slowly his wounds healed, and now all his wounds are dry. Now I hear that he has a small job, and this is what I feel the grace of the Sadguru.
In fact, reality is something which cannot be defined by words, and it is something beyond words. And when you see from the realm of reality, or consciousness, what people call it in different names, or God, or some people call it the self, some call it the consciousness. In fact, consciousness alone is, or reality alone is. Everything else is, is just changing, or it's just false. So it is something, it is the basic substratum of the whole of creation. And it is the true nature of each and every person, of each and every being. And Amma says that it's the same consciousness that is throbbing in each and every atom. And when you go deep into it, when you transcend the realm of the body, the mind, and the intellect, you realize that that alone is the truth. Everything else, that we have been living into, everything has been our own creation. But in fact, our real self is the consciousness alone. So it is the underlying substratum which is changeless, which is eternal, and which is not affected by anything, which is our true nature. So it is something which is to be experienced, and any amount of effort to express it into words is always, it always falls short.